Thursday, the 13th of December, 2001, and hopefully she'll be talking to Mike Attrill and his wife Kay on the Dover.
Well, it's Thursday afternoon on the 13th of December, 2001. Sitting up in Mike Attrill's loft, having a wonderful time looking at old photographs and so on and so forth. And Mike's just agreed to tell me what he can remember, and if I can ask him some questions about the old times on the Dover, and particularly regarding the golf course. So, when did you first play golf here, Mike?
My first game was, I must have been about 3 years old, because I had my front teeth knocked out by a chap, Robin James, who became the captain of Wharton Heath.
Right.
Unfortunately, he died last year.
Well, if you were 3, dare I ask you which year that was? You'll probably remember.
That was 1921.
My word, that is going back nearly 80 years. It is 80 years, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then after that, you obviously always played. You never stopped.
Well, no, I played when, of course, being a caddy as well. I used to carry, before I left school, the lady members used to meet us I went to school at Bembridge. The lady members used to meet us with their cars at 3:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, wherever we knocked off from school, to come over and carry their clubs. They allowed us to come home to have a spot of tea to start with, and then probably carry for 9 holes.
What did you get for that? Half a crown, or not as much?
No, I think it was about 1 and 6 that time.
Oh, well, that wasn't bad pocket money.
No.
Can you remember anybody particularly that you carried for who was a character or notable person?
Oh, lots. Sir Thomas Sopwith, Sir Ralph Gore, Mr. Yottings, all the Guinness family, Ernest Guinness and Northern Avon and Dunfern, the Griggs.
The interesting thing about that is that people like the Guinness family, would they be over here on holiday? I mean, they had houses here.
No, they would bring their boat called the Ceto,
right.
and she's quite a big boat. I should say about 300 tons, and more off at under time. And you motor ashore and play golf for 9 holes, 18 holes.
So a lot of the people that came would actually come in by sea on their yachts.
Quite a number did.
Yeah.
But of course, there's a lot of nobility in Bembridge, like the Bravesons and Murrays, all those people.
And they'd be the golfers, of course.
They would be golfers, yes.
Yeah. But and you had what they called artisan players, didn't you?
Yeah, they were
from St Helens and
yes, St Helens and Bembridge. Most of the artisans worked at Woodnuts, and they used to make their own golf clubs. And we were allowed to play at any time, with the exception when there's a competition on. And we were served very well by the members.
Yes. Yeah. So you included yourself actually as an artisan at one time?
I joined when I was 17, and I never became golf champion. But one year I won all the club cups, with the exception of the championship.
My word. Did you ever get down to scratch?
No. 5 was my best handicap.
Right. Yeah.
And I think the best one was a chap by the name of Bill Matthews, and I think he was 3.
Really?
Yes. Arthur Askew, he used to come down here quite a lot. Quite a lot of the artists from Sandown and Shanklin Pier used to play here.
And you mentioned David Niven. He was a regular.
David Niven, yes.
Regular player.
Yes. Yeah, he's a great friend of John Coburn and Alec Muller.
Any of these celebrities play off very low figures, or don't you remember?
Well, Jack Miller, I think Jack Miller was +2, and he became the Channel Island and Isle of Wight champion. chap from the name of Keith, he was +2. He used to play here.
There was another famous golfer, well, I don't know about famous, but a professional. Was he called Roland Jones? And
oh, yes.
He lived in St Helens, but he would have been, I mean, he died in I think 52, something like that, so he would have been quite old, presumably, and did he ever play regularly down here or not?
Oh, he used to play down here. He had a lovely start. When I left school in 1931, there was not much work around, and I joined the greenkeepers down here. And Roland Jones wanted to take me to Wimbledon Park, where he was a professional, to be his assistant. But at that time, 2 other jobs cropped up, one in Shankton and one at Woodnuts, and I decided to go into Woodnuts.
Probably did the right thing, although of course professional golf now seems to command such huge sums of money, but presumably in those days, was it still a highly paid occupation compared with others?
No, it wasn't. No. Roland Jones was a jolly good professional, but I think he only won the Belgium Championship, and I don't think there was a lot of money in those days for golf.
What do you remember about the infamous Pindle Jacobs? Don't laugh.
I better not say much about that.
Well,
I know quite a bit about it, but I better keep quiet.
All right. Well, we respect that, but we've heard so many stories, and I don't know whether they're true or not about Pindle. He had quite a reputation.
Yeah.
Never mind.
A lot of people know what I mean, but
yes, I think St Helens is generally fairly well informed on him, because of course he lived on the Upper Green at Mandalay, and we always remember his house and the stories that go with him. But we'll gloss over that.
So we skip that one.
Yeah. So your business started, I understand, in 1947, but
in 1947 we added. I left Woodnuts and Gordon came out of the Navy, and we had a job to build a boat for a fisherman in Poole. We never had a shop to build her in, so we bought this nut, and that was the start of our business. That was in 1947. The boat went down to Poole, and the owner paid for it in one night's fishing with sprats.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And that boat now, it was 1947 she was built, and that boat now is in the Mediterranean, and there's a couple living on board.
Even to this day?
Even to this day, yes.
Well, what did you do? Did you eat the sprats or did you sell them?
Well, we didn't have any of the sprats.
Oh, I see what you mean. He paid for it. That was his day's work.
One night's fishing.
My word.
He paid for that boat.
Gosh, that's amazing. Yeah.
He didn't pay for them, sprats.
No, well, that's what I thought you meant, first of all. No, that's typical of me. I get things wrong. So after that, then you started building bigger and better boats, presumably.
Oh, yes. We built quite a lot of boats. We built some, we went to America, and probably our best boat, the one we remember most of all, is the Flying Spur, which was built for a local Colonel Johnson, and she now is in America.
Was that a pleasure yacht?
A pleasure yacht, yes.
Yeah. Yes. I presume most of your boats were pleasure craft, or were they working boats as well?
No, most of them were for pleasure boats. We built some for the Navy, or one for the Navy and one for the Royal Marines. That was paid for by the Nuffel Trust, designed by Angus Primrose.
I was just going to ask you who did the designing. Did you have anybody on the staff who designed boats, or did you rely on outside designers?
Oh no, the Flying Spur was designed by Harry Jacobs, a local designer, and his brother was chief designer for Camper Nicholson's. I suppose they were a couple of the most cleverest designers at that time.
Did you have strong connections with Towers and the yachting fraternity there, or not?
No.
This was something different, really.
Yes. We had the honour of making a glass fibre mould, a female mould, for Helmatics of Portsmouth just started. And that held the world record. She was 47 foot long. We stretched it, the mould was 47 foot long, and we stretched the mould later on to 52 foot long. And that held the record for, I suppose, about a year. And that was the start of Helmatics, who are now, I think, owned by Foster Thornycross. Quite a big firm.
Yeah, yeah. Where did Woodnuts come into this sort of scenario? They were operating before you started.
Oh yes,
yes.
Yes.
Some considerable time.
Yes, a long time. I don't know when exactly they did start, but it was possibly late 1800s. But they were one of the finest yacht builders on the south coast, and if you buy a Woodnut boat today, you've bought something of quality, even today.
Of course, the interesting thing is that now Woodnuts is no longer, but you're still carrying on.
Yes.
As a family concern.
Yes, yes. We were both trained at Woodnuts.
Were you?
So, yes. Yes.
Captain Westmacott's another name that springs to mind. Did you know him?
Yes, I knew him very well. I used to carry for him. We used to also be an apprentice over there. We'd go and carry for him, get our apprenticeship money, and also get paid for carrying his car clubs.
Very good.
Yeah.
Wasn't such a bad life then?
No, it was quite a good life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Golf and boats.
Golf and boats. No money in it, but...
Oh, come on. No, I don't believe everything you say, but that's...
No, it's a good life.
Yeah. Well, isn't that the secret, to enjoy what you're doing?
It is, yes. Money doesn't mean a thing if you have enjoyment.
No. A long and a healthy life, I mean, you're a good example of that.
Yeah,
you certainly are.
Yeah.
And you're still enjoying yourself as far as I can see.
That's true enough, yeah.
But you've been playing golf, they tell me, until fairly recently. Have you really given up now?
I've still got my golf clubs, and I thought myself, last week I thought, well, I'll go down to ride and have a game, but no, I haven't backed up courage today.
No. Well, maybe when the weather gets a bit warmer.
That's it.
It's certainly not very pleasant for golf at the moment.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know whether you know what's happening around the corner. I'm rather interested because when I came down this afternoon, I see the old shed on the north side of Woodnuts Yard has disappeared, and they're stripping the roof on that old building. Is that going ahead, the development of there?
I think it is kind of going ahead, and I've heard there's going to be a restaurant there and toilets. It's all now been bought by the harbour company.
Yeah.
They've got pontoons off there.
I think the worry from the village point of view is that it's going to generate a lot of extra traffic, and the poor old Dover Road won't carry it.
Well, it's quite true. Mind you, I can't say a lot about that because we had a restaurant there as well. So.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, the Ferry Boat Inn was very famous. Of course, that was all you're doing as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
I know the whole village of St Helens was very upset when that closed,
yes,
including ourselves.
But I think there will be a terrific amount of traffic along that road if the development goes ahead.
It seems to have got very much more popular in recent years. I mean, this last summer, I can't remember ever seeing so many cars on the Esplanade down here as there were this year.
No.
It's partly to do with the Baywatch, I suppose.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting. And have you got any... We're going from one subject to another, but have you got any personal thoughts about global warming and the level of the sea rising and what's going to happen to us all?
Well, I really can't see it. I mean, I'm barking up the wrong tree, I think, but the tides don't seem to be any higher now than they've been all my life. I've never really seen the jetty at Bembridge really overflowed. Water comes up pretty high, but I've never seen it overflow yet.
No.
And the last high tide we had the water came between our house and Ferry House. That is the first time that's happened since I was, 10 years old.
Really?
I got a photograph of my brother and I paddling in between the two houses. So that's happened once before. So people say, well,
that's over a span of 70 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It occurs to me that whatever happens, it's going to be so long term, or in such a long way in the future that it's not going to worry any of us, obviously.
No.
But
I think nature will sort itself out.
Yes.
It always does, doesn't it?
That's true. That's very true. Yes. I suppose in a way it's making jobs for a lot of people. All these predictions and things they're going to have to worry about.
But I honestly can remember when I was a young person that the stones used to go bang with the heat of the sun on them. But you don't hear that nowadays. Whether that was imagination or not, I don't know. But that's always in my mind, that stones used to pop off through the heat. And they don't now.
I've certainly never heard that. Yes. What can you tell me, Mike, about the village itself of St Helens? Did you sort of have chums up in the village? Did you play in the village like some of these other older people tell me that they were doing all sorts of dreadful things around the village roads? Were you involved with that at all?
No.
I'm thinking of people like Keith Wade and Bilko Dyer, the pranks they used to get up to. But of course they were living in the village, and you're quite separate down here.
Yes. I used to go and play for football in the evenings up on the village green. Not very often, but I would kick around. But no, I didn't we never used to go very much into the village.
You didn't make the football team or the cricket team?
No.
As the village, I mean, you go through the village, have you noticed any changes over the number of years that stick in your mind?
Well, I can't remember the sawmill there, but I can remember the old. It was a very long ago cricket house. Remember that?
Yes.
Of course, it's been developed a lot. As everywhere else, it's been a lot developed. I thought I knew everyone in the village at one time, but nowadays I don't know not a sixth of the people in the village.
No. Well, that is the biggest change, I think. And of course, when they built Downsview and it almost doubled the population.
Yes.
I know you may be amused to hear that Beryl Bowen, who I'm sure you know, told me the other day that she was away from the village for 20 years. Mm-hmm. When she came back, she was walking along the Lower Green, and I think it was Madge Henley leant out of an upstairs window and said to Beryl, "You won't recognise the village now, it's full of foreigners." And of course, in 20 years, I suppose, an awful lot of new people coming in.
Yes. And I hear quite a number of people leaving St Helens going to Bembridge now.
It just recently, several have, yes. But, there you are. I mean, Bembridge it's not a village anymore, is it, really?
No. But it's a nice area. But we haven't got any shops in our village, have we, now?
No, that's the trouble.
And Bembridge, you've got on the level.
Yes, Bembridge is flat. The older people like it, because the shops are all on the level. They can walk.
They can cycle.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. We say ourselves, from where we live up there, we're quite happy looking at Bembridge, but we'd rather be in St Helens.
Yes.
We see the view. I mean, you've got a lovely view from here, right the way round the harbour, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, we went to school at Bembridge, so we sort of feel that we're even more Bembridge than we are. I know more of the younger, chaps out and people I went to school with. I very often see them in Bembridge. Yeah.
What are you going to tell me about smuggling around the harbour? Did you ever?
Well, the only smuggling that we know, I don't know of, is the cat. When she brought over the tobacco from Belgium. But
how long ago was this?
This is 70 years ago.
Yeah.
70 years, yes.
They had You said cat. They had catamarans then?
Oh, no. She was called the cat.
Oh.
It was called the cat.
Right, I beg your pardon.
Yeah.
I thought I was...
Yeah. And she came ashore on the beach there, and they just had a regatta.
Yeah.
And the finishing mark was put on the wall with finish on it. And she just got to that point, finishing point.
Yes.
And that finished that boat.
Oh, right.
And they thought they were well away because they thought they were on the railway track, so you could get the tobacco away easily.
But it didn't work out quite like
Didn't
that.
work out yet. Yeah.
That's what you're telling me about that photograph,
Yeah,
was
that's
it?
right,
Yes. And they lost the tobacco in the end.
Yes.
No, one hears a lot of stories about nowadays drugs coming into Bembridge Harbour, but and we hear the odd police siren coming down here, but you haven't come across anything personally.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah.
There is tobacco, or there is drugs being brought in, because you hear a lot of boats around night time.
Yes.
But I don't know.
One thing we miss is hearing Nick Wade going out with his chug early morning fishing. That doesn't happen anymore. Always used to wake me up about 5 a.m.
He goes out sometimes, but not very often.
No,
not very often.
he was as regular as clockwork a few years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clock's edge.
Well, you certainly had an interesting life down here, I'm sure. You wouldn't wish to be anywhere else, would you?
No, I only wish that the place hadn't deteriorated as much as in the last few years as it really has. I mean, we lost the golf club.
Yeah.
The beach is spoilt with the bait diggers. Bembridge Beach is absolutely messed up with the blackthorn being planted over there and collecting all the sand. The wall at Bembridge has disappeared through sand over top of it. There used to be a squash court down at the front of Bembridge. It's not there now. Around the area, it's I think deteriorated. But
yes. Of course, there are signs now of things happening with the new building at Bembridge there. The sailing club's having a big extension put on, aren't they?
Yes.
I don't know about the housing complex or the flats. That's pretty ghastly, but you can see that from here, don't you?
Well, you can hardly see it because the blackthorn.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
The one great thing is that, of course, I think is a great improvement around this area. Is a great improvement is the Bailey Haven Yacht Club. That has gone ahead, and I mean that's causing fun for lots of people.
Yeah. Must be a very large membership there.
Yes.
The thing that upset, well, particularly my wife, but myself as well, when the National Trust started clearing up the Dover, and they destroyed a lot of the tree lupins, because I think they used to be beautiful, yellow tree lupins, you remember those?
Yes.
There's not many of those left now at all.
No. I tell you what, they weren't cut down by the National Trust as far as I know of.
No.
My God, the National Trust, I think, are just a waste of time on the Dover.
I totally agree. I mean,
absolute waste of time.
Yeah.
But those lupins, I don't know what sort of fly it was that came in, or what sort of bug it was that came in, but it came in from the sea, and they ate the whole lot right the way through.
Oh, is that so?
Yes.
Well, I'm most interested, because we were told, the National Trust had...
No, it seemed to come from the sea, these things, and that's the direction it went. And they just ate the whole lot through.
Because they never recovered, have they?
No. It's a funny sort of, one of the flies had a bug on it. A green bug.
Seems to me the only people who've really benefited from the fact there's no more golf down there are the dog walkers.
Yeah, sure enough, the dog walkers. And a mess. I mean, a lot of people do protect out there.
Yeah.
Mess, they put it in a bag and they fling it around as if they're spraying incense or anything. But there's so much mess there.
Yes. Oh, it's a shame. It could be such a lovely area if it was kept tidy.
Yes. It's the same with the Gang and Hedge. I mean, the Gang and Hedge used to, when the Portland said that they used to look after it. All these people do is put a few sheep or something.
Yes, it's not the same. No, it's
It's another disgrace.
mind you, I think that's the different generations now. They don't seem to realise or notice or take any pride in the surroundings, do they?
No, we had a chap walk in front of the old golf club there, and he stepped in a hole in the road, broke his ankle, and he sort of made a claim against the National Trust. The National Trust came in and they said, "This doesn't belong to us." That's Attrill, he said.
Oh dear.
They gave us a road.
Oh dear. People are funny these days.
Yes.
Try and get money out of anything, don't they?
That's right.
Yeah. What about hovercraft operation there? That didn't start until what, late 50s, was it? Or
I should think it was a bit that time. Yes.
I mean, it's not too obtrusive because they've painted the right colour, but and we don't get many hovercraft around here, do we? Not to hear them.
No. Well, no. They're not a menace. They used to be a menace to us because they used to pick up so much sand and go over our boats. But now with the new ones, they don't pick up so much sand as they used to. And they employ quite a number of people over there.
Do they actually build craft in there, or do they just repair them?
No, I think they built one.
They have built them.
Yes.
Because I always understood it was just a...
And they're doing some lifeboat work now.
Are they?
There's a lifeboat. No, you can't see it, but there's a lifeboat in the island there. Yes, that little area, there's quite a lot of people employed in
Yes.
that area now.
Yes, and I suppose hopefully they're local people as well.
Yes, I think so, yes. Yeah. Well, the standoff at Cairns today was terrible, wasn't it? It was 650 people.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Not very good for the
Dreadful. Yeah. Well, I don't think there's anything else much I can think to ask you, Mike, unless there's anything else you want to tell me. It's a job, you see. If I switch off the recorder, we'll suddenly think of something interesting. But on the other hand, if I switch it off, you might tell me something that you don't want to be recorded.
That was the original golf house there, you see.
Yes.
That's where Penny is now.
That's right, yes.
And the place next door to it was the
ladies' clubhouse, yeah. Because the other thing we could talk about is that the original ladies' club was on the other side of the Embankment Road, wasn't it?
Yes. Now I don't remember much about that.
No.
But a friend of mine who was the same age as me in Bembridge, he knows all about that. Every hole there was. And
really?
Yes. Yes. So Burton.
Because that's more of a Bembridge matter than a St Helens one, really.
Yes.
It's not within the St Helens parish.
Yeah.
But,
the only thing I used to go over there for was to collect some soft chalk from my mother to clean the steps outside the house.
You got that from the golf?
Got it from the old road.
Well,
the road was built with chalk.
Oh right, yes.
Just come a bit of chalk for.
Why not? Why not? Yeah. I suppose I could ask you about Node's holiday camp. That's another thing that's sort of grown amazingly, but that started presumably several years after the war, didn't it? 50 again? 50 something?
I suppose it was, yes.
Do you remember anything about the sort of birth of that, the beginnings of that?
Well, yes, I remember when it was sold. It was sold. Charlie Wade.
Charlie Wade.
Yes. When it was sold, there was to be no development outside of the area, outside of the fort area. But now they've expanded.
Well, it's changed hands so many times, hasn't it?
Yes.
I know it's a pet subject of John Clark. I mean, he is very much against any development there, although I understand there's another planning application about to come up.
Oh, yes.
But hopefully they're going to just concentrate on the part that's already developed and improve that rather than expand. But then one always feels, well, when they've done that, they may very well think, oh, well, we'll try and get some more units.
But that field, below there, it used to be in the summer one mass of daisies.
Yes.
And the girl guides used to always come there and set up their tents.
Right.
And One morning, two girls set off from up there to go at low tide to swim to Pembridge, and one girl got caught in the grassweed, and she was the swimmer, and she went down and she drowned.
Really?
Yeah. Gosh. And my father and another fisherman put some hooks, a trot of hooks across. They couldn't find her across the channel, and they hooked her. Got the body.
Because it's a dangerous stretch of water. It looks very narrow, but I wouldn't like to try and swim it, would you?
No. There must have been a lot of tide coming in at that time.
I expect you've walked to St Helens Fort several times yourself, haven't you?
We ran quite a top. My father used to say that you could walk and with dry feet and walk right round it.
Really?
Yeah, the sand's moved up from the east to the
You
west.
can't do that now.
You can't do that now. No.
In fact, when we did the walk ourselves, we had to hurry to get back, before the water was waist high, let alone ankle high.
Yeah, the sand's moving from east to west. If only it would settle along our shore, it would be nice.
Well, that's right, yes, it would be nice. Because it always used to be lovely sandy shore, didn't it? Yeah. Well, that's where some of the old photographs show how lovely it was.
Yes.
I mean, they're making efforts with these new groins. Presumably they will help.
Yes.
But it all takes time.
Yeah. Well, those new groins have been successful on them.
Well, perhaps we'd better turn the jolly old tape off and say thank you very much indeed for your memories. They'll make interesting listening later. I don't know. No, I'm sure they will.